I don't even know where to start with this story because honestly, when I heard it, I thought it was one of those exaggerated social media gists. But the more I listened, the more I watched, the more I realized that this one is different. This is a story of how a marriage of over 10 years ended and how the man involved allegedly found out that his wife has remarried on Instagram. Yeah, Instagram. And I'm talking about radio presenter Mayowa Lambe, and her ex-husband Roby, Ekpo. Now let me tell you how I see this whole situation. When I first come across this story, I paused because 11 years is not a joke. That's not a relationship you can just throw away like that. So think of the time, the emotions, the sacrifices, the history. So naturally, I asked myself what could have possibly gone wrong. From what we heard, they were together for a very long time. Everything looked normal from outside, and that's the scary part because a lot of relationships that look peaceful online are actually fighting silent battles offline. And this is where I always say never envy any relationship you don't fully understand. Now things started changing when distance came into the picture. Mayowa moved abroad to the United States of America. And if we're being honest with ourselves, long distance relationships are not easy. In fact, they are one of the hardest type of relationship to maintain because it's not just about love anymore. It becomes about trust, communication, consistency, and emotional discipline. And once one person starts withdrawing emotionally, everything begins to fall apart slowly. Well, from the Ruby side of the story, he said he was still supporting her financially, sending money to her, believing that they were still building something together. And that's the part that really got me. Because imagine giving your all to someone thinking that you are both on the same page, not knowing that the other person might already be in a different chapter of their life. And this kind of thing can break a person deeply. But let me be honest here, we are only hearing his side clearly. And that is something we must not ignore because in every relationship story, there are always two sides, sometimes even three. The man's side, the woman's side, and the truth somewhere in between. So while his pain sounds real, yes, I wouldn't lie, it does sound real, but we still don't fully know what Mayowa experienced in that marriage. Now let's talk about the part that shocked everybody, the Instagram moment. Well, according to him, he said he opened Instagram one day and saw wedding picture, not just wedding picture, his wife's wedding to another man. Well, I'm not going to lie, that part is hard to even imagine because how do you process that? How do you go from this is my wife to she's now someone else's wife without any proper clothes? That kind of shock can mess with someone's mental and emotional states. Then he came out to speak, and that's when things became even more intense. He talked about how the marriage had no children, and for a very long time he believed he was the problem. And you know, that part really hit differently because a lot of people silently carry that kind of burden, blaming themselves, feeling inadequate, questioning their own body, their own worth, and then later feel like maybe the situation wasn't what you thought it was, and that can bring anger, confusion, and even regret. He also made serious allegations, serious ones, about deception, about living a different life abroad, about being kept in the dark. Now, whether all of that is completely true, we don't know. And that is why I always try to be careful with stories like this, because it's not easy to take sides emotionally, but the full truth is really that simple. Now let's talk about Mayowa's reaction. At initial time, she was silent, but now she's not just ignoring the situation anymore. She has slammed the ex-husband with cease and desist, demanding apology or 100 million damages within 48 hours. Well, what you have to know is that people don't just wake up and move on overnight. Most times, they've already left the relationship emotionally long before their physical leave. Now, the big question is, did she leave quietly after being tired of the marriage, or did she move on in a way that was hurtful and unfair? That's the part nobody outside that relationship can answer completely. And this is why this story is not just gossip to me. It is a lesson, a deep one, because it reminds us that relationships are fragile, communication is important, and silence can destroy something faster than argument. Another thing this story teaches is importance of closure. No matter how bad things get, close matters, because when someone is left without answer, they don't just lose the relationship, they lose peace. They keep asking questions. What did I do wrong? When did things change? Was any of it even real? And sometimes those questions never get answered. At the end of the day, I don't think this story is a story of just one villain and one victim. I think it's a story of two people who experience the same relationship in a complete different way. One is speaking from pain, the other is moving on in silence, and somewhere in between is a truth we may never fully know. But I will leave you with this. Before you judge any relationship, before you pick sides, always know this: you only see what they choose to show you. The real story is always deeper. So tell me your honest opinion. If you were in that situation, would you like to speak out like he did, or would you like to move on quietly? Let's talk in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you in my next video. Bye.